thank you for joining us today as we recognize not just 246 years of our nation's freedom, but also the birthday of President Calvin Coolidge, the only president to be born on the 4th of July. Because we love our country, we're proud to live here, and we are grateful for the opportunity to enjoy the freedom bestowed upon us by patriots, warriors, and our many forefathers, including the long lineage of public servants in the Coolidge family who are laid to rest in this hallowed ground. It is important we also remember the origins and significance of this special day, this most patriotic of holidays. The 4th of July celebrates both the birth of Calvin Coolidge and of our nation's willful defiance against tyranny. Instrumental in our nation's fight for independence was the colonial militia, the predecessor of the colonial army and today's National Guard. The great-great-grandfather of Calvin Coolidge, John Coolidge, fought in the Revolutionary War. These citizen soldiers' courage, bravery, and sacrifice ensured the formation of an independent state and laid the foundation for the National Guard's role in future conflicts that threatened America's freedom. President Coolidge was famous for being a man of few but well-chosen words. Coolidge once said, "I have noticed that nothing I have never said ever did me any harm." The words of a president have an enormous weight, he once wrote, and ought not to be used indiscriminately. "I think the American people want a solemn ass as a president," he once told Ethel Barrymore, and I think I will go along with them. Despite his reputation, Silent Cal, as he was called, had a keen sense of humor, and it is altogether fitting for us to honor him today in this fashion. As has been told many times, his wit was displayed in a characteristic exchange with a Washington, D.C. hostess who told him, "You must talk to me, Mr. President. I made a bet today that I could get more than 2 words out of you." Coolidge replied, "You lose." Coolidge later denied this interaction ever occurred, likely thinking the 2 words, "you lose," to be more than he would have used for the occasion. For Thanksgiving in 1926, an admirer sent him a live raccoon with the suggestion he cook it and consume it as part of the family dinner. Wary of sampling raccoon meat, Coolidge pardoned the animal and soon became a close friend of his wife's and given the name Rebecca Raccoon. Coolidge is the only president known to have pardoned a raccoon. My favorite Calvin Coolidge quote of all, when asked at what age a woman becomes her most beautiful, he replied, "At precisely whatever my wife's age at this moment." Given his reputation for being a man of few words, upon hearing that Coolidge passed away, the writer Dorothy Parker quipped, "How can they tell?" He was fondly remembered for his quiet New England virtues and for the renewed dignity and respect he brought to his office. Our forefathers taught us in 1776 that freedom is not free, and it's a lesson we continue to learn generation after generation as military service members continue to train and fight to protect the United States, our citizens, and our freedom. It was Calvin Coolidge who said, "The nation which forgets its defenders will itself be forgotten." As we celebrate Independence Day this year, let's be grateful for the lasting achievement of freedom secured and protected by the Coolidge ancestors and by our National Guard men and women. Let us remember those who risked everything to secure our freedom and renew our commitment to remaining the greatest nation on earth. For this, and for the memory of Calvin Coolidge, we will defend. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, General Lambrecht. The Coolidge Foundation is honored to partner with the Vermont Division for Historic Preservation here in Plymouth Notch. At this time, please join us in welcoming Laura Trishman, the State Historic Preservation Officer.
Thank you. Welcome to Plymouth Notch. It's no secret that Calvin Coolidge did not seek or enjoy much fanfare, especially on his birthday, as he considered himself a servant of the people rather than the center of attention. Yet, since his election as governor of Massachusetts in 1919, and well beyond his death as we see today, his birthday's been commonly celebrated in regional and national newspapers. Most accounts report that Coolidge sought a quiet remembrance, especially in 1924 when his beloved son, John Calvin Jr., fell devastatingly ill. But the irony of Coolidge's birthday on the same day as our nation's founding was fitting for a man who would be president. His first year in office, all 48 governors, there were then 48 states, sent him birthday greetings, every single one, each noting how significant it was that he was born on the anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Prominent department stores sold birthday cards designed with messages for the president on his July 4th birthday, cards they marketed as worthy of your message. In 1932, 3 years out of office, Coolidge's birthday party was reported in the newspapers to have been unceremonious. This is because he had an attack of hay fever, he wasn't feeling well, and it was raining really hard here in Plymouth Notch. Despite that, the poor delivery man made several trips to the homestead, delivering hundreds of birthday telegrams. In 1933, on the first July 4th, after the passing of President Calvin Coolidge, a crowd of mourners that included his family, his friends, and his admirers stood here 89 years ago, just as we do today. That was the first occasion when a wreath of remembrance for his birthday was placed in this cemetery. In fact, 3 floral arrangements were placed here that day. One was placed by the Boy Scouts of America, with 100 troops from all over Vermont participating in the pilgrimage and exercises of the day. Residents and family in Plymouth Notch gathered wildflowers from nearby fields to place at his grave. The third arrangement was a large floral wreath sent by the President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. They were friends and admirers of Calvin Coolidge. Since that day, a wreath has been placed here to honor the president on each of his birthdays. The presentation of a wreath from the White House on the birthday of a former president, which has been so beautifully presented here today, became an official White House duty during the Johnson administration in the 1960s. The principal speaker that July 4th in 1933 was Leon S. Gay, president of the Wyndham-Windsor Council. He said, quote, "We gather here to honor the memory of one of America's most beloved citizens, one whom a wise providence called to become the head of our nation at a time when profound ability, firmness of purpose, steadfast courage, and rugged honesty were badly needed. Certainly no Vermonter will ever forget the historic scene which was enacted in the village when Calvin Coolidge took the oath of office administered by his father, which made him President of the United States." Mr. Gay continued, "It is especially fitting that we gather here on the 4th of July to render homage to this loyal son of Vermont, because today is his birthday, as well as the birthday of the nation which he served so well." A few weeks after that July 1933 cemetery event, the activities of the day were retold in newspapers around the nation. The stories described the headstone as, quote, "probably the most simple headstone to be found on the grave of any American president. The stone is like the man. It expressed the Calvin Coolidge who said little, did much, and held the full confidence of the American people as much as any man might hold it. Coming generations studying that stone will be impressed by its utter brevity, by the colonial background it suggests, the purity of the American genealogical line, the force and vigor, and the expressiveness of it. They will know, even if they do not know much about Calvin Coolidge, that the stone marks the resting place of an unusual American. As newspapers and his own speeches have recounted over and over, Calvin Coolidge most likely would have preferred that we, along with everyone who has ever gathered here since that July 1933, spend our 4th of July honoring the nation's birth, the founding fathers, General George Washington and his deserving army. But we know that Calvin Coolidge too deserves to be honored and commemorated on July 4th. For his birth in 1872, that first cemetery event in 1933, and today on the 150th anniversary of his birth. 1 year after Calvin Coolidge left Washington, D.C., the chef of the presidential yacht trusted the United States Post Office to deliver a carefully shipped 15-pound birthday cake, iced with a greeting, "Happy Birthday" to Mr. Coolidge. Today we too have birthday cake for Calvin Coolidge and for you, delivered by the President Coolidge State Historic Site, not the post office. And we invite you back to the village after this ceremony for a free slice of birthday cake. We wish you all a very happy and safe 4th of July. Happy 246th birthday to the United States of America, and a happy 150th birthday to our President, Calvin Coolidge. Thank you so much for coming today. We hope you enjoy your visit.
Thank you, Mr. Trieschmann. A century ago, on July 6, 1922, Vice President Coolidge delivered a speech at Fredericksburg. We will now hear brief selections from that speech. The readers will be members of the Coolidge family: John Sayles, Jenny Coolidge Harville, Jake Harville, and Chris Jeter. They will be joined by Coolidge Foundation Chairman Amity Schlaise.
We meet here out of reverence for the past. We come with that resolution which has characterized Americans to show by our actions our adherence to those seasoned and established principles which have made our country the greatest among the nations of the earth. It is out of this that there is created the very natural desire to preserve those monuments which were associated with the great names and the great times which laid the foundation of our history. For more than 3 generations now, America has been building a necessary and desirable operation, worthy of high commendation. This has been a strong index of progress. But to preserve also is to build, and to save is to construct. No people can look forward who do not look backward. The strongest guarantee of the future is the past.
The world today is filled with a great impatience. Men are disdainful of the things that are and are credulously turning toward those who assert that a change of institutions would somehow bring about an era of perfection. It is not a change that is needed in our Constitution and laws so much as there is need of living in accordance with them. The most fundamental precept of them all, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, has not yet been brought into universal application. It is not our institutions that have failed, it is our execution of them that has failed.
The great principles of life do not change. They are permanent and well known. Men are not ignorant of what justice requires. No power can ever be brought into existence which will relieve of obligations. The sole opportunity for progress lies in their faithful discharge.
There is no reason for Americans to lack confidence in themselves or in their institutions. Let him who doubts look about him. Let him consider the power of his country, its agriculture, its industry, its commerce, its development of the arts and sciences, its great cities, its enormous wealth, its organized society, and let him remember that all this is the accomplishment of but 3 centuries. Surely we must conclude that here is a people with a character which is not to be shaken. Imperfections there are, violations of the law there are, but public requirements were never so high in the intercourse of society, in the conduct of commerce, in the observance of the law, and in the faithful discharge of public office at the present time.
There are criticisms which are merited. There always have been, and there always will be. But the life of the nation is dependent not on criticism, but on construction. Not on tearing down, but on building up. Not on destroying, but in preserving. If the American Revolution meant anything, it meant the determination to live under a reign of law. It meant the assertion of the right of the people to adopt their own constitutions, and when so adopted, the duty of all the people to abide by them.
Thank you all so much, and thank you all for joining us. Again, thank you to the Vermont National Guard for being with us today, and for your service to Vermont and America. Our ceremony will now conclude, and we invite you to make your way back to the Coolidge site, where the state of Vermont will be providing Coolidge cake to honor the President's birthday. Thanks and happy 4th.
Wow. Thank you. President Coolidge.
Well, good to see you. Happy 4th of July.
Thank you very kindly. Happy birthday, by the way.
Why, thank you. One doesn't turn 150 years old just every day. Couldn't think of a better place I'd rather celebrate the day than with all these good people right here.
Absolutely. Thank you kindly, sir.
Bye.
And where are we?
We're at the Coolidge Historic Site celebrating his 150th birthday.
It's absolutely fantastic. Beautiful day. It really is a beautiful day.
I'm here with Bill Jenny, who is the expert on everything Coolidge.
Well, you tend to pick up a fact or two over 34 years or so. But now I'm on the holiday myself, so.
It's excellent.
Yeah, terrific. Thank you kindly. Gentlemen, thank you for coming out and doing this year.
It's our privilege. We're happy to be here.
Terrific. Very good. Last.
How are you?
Thank you.
They come out with
We have still two more uncut cakes.
Oh, you guys are all prepared.
Oh
my gosh, Bob and Jenny, hi. Happy 150th birthday of President Coolidge.
Okay, that could be really cute to
I
have
made
like
those into pins.